Hey guys, it's Lauren again. We're going to take a look at my new drum style, which sounds really funny saying out loud. Only electronic producers. But anyways, we're going to look at the sort of style I've been making a lot of my drums in on newer tracks. Um, this isn't meant to replace my old drum style at all. Actually, I still use it quite a bit. But this is my answer to needing something kind of more laid back and modern sounding, um, while still maintaining a feel that we can keep going in our genre. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this. I went ahead and soloed all the drums in this track. Um, So here's what they sound like. I'm gonna play them for 8 bars, so that you guys can get an idea for on what the full sequence sounds like. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're working with this style. Very heavily inspired by Brazilian music. Um, uh, so let's look at the kick. So the low end kick it sounds like this. It's being sent to its own mixer channel where it goes to a kick bus. And otherwise it's not being messed with on its own channel. And then we have a top kick, which is basically just a click to give the kick some high-end grit. We obviously do not want 2 full kicks playing, so I low cut this one at 300 hertz, so we don't have any bass coming through. And then here on the kick bus, which is not named properly, I'm compressing them together with Fruity Compressor. It's honestly not a ton of compression. I lowered the release a little bit from where it starts out. I raised the gain a little bit just as I needed. But this is a nice booming kick. And then there's a dip in the higher end of the thud right here, which is about like it starts right here and it goes down. There's a pitch envelope. That's how kicks work. I'm taming down a little bit of the higher bass frequencies, if you can even call them that, and I'm boosting the sub of the kick a little bit at around 73 hertz. This is just for transitional effects. We don't need to look at this. I have TP bass lane on the kick. It's the same preset that I use I use the same TP bass lane preset for the master channel, the kick bus, and the bass bus. That's a kind of dumb secret on how I always have such great sounding bass. It's something that I learned while I was making uplifting trance long ago. So we have this hat. I did not mean to do that. Oops. Oh well. We have this hat, and it's, of course, 3 hats layered on top of each other. There's a main layer. There's a left side, which is like really harsh and has a punch to it. It's adding a transient. And then same sort of deal with the right hand hi-hat. So together those sound like this. Sounds kind of awkward, but once you add the main hi-hat that is completely centered, sounds great. Nice and organic. Those are being compressed. High ratio, really high ratio. Low release, low attack. Reasonable threshold. I pretty much, if I can give anyone watching this video some free advice that they will pretty much always use forever and ever, put a low cut on everything that does not have or need bass sounds in it. Like, you probably can't even hear anything here, right? And it might not even show up as being there. But it's a just in case strategy a lot of the time, where it's like, okay, if any rumble or artifacts or anything comes from this sound that I don't want, then that low cut is already on every single thing that I don't need bass signals from, right? That's another trick to getting a clean bass. Because any sound that you have that has any little amount of rumble, that like inaudible rumble, it still messes up your mix. So you want to low cut stuff even if you don't necessarily see it picking up, any frequencies around here. So that's one important thing to keep in mind, is that I low cut everything, and it is part of how my mixes come out so clean. So we'll go ahead and add these second hats. And they're just kind of playing randomly, to be honest with you guys. They just add a little bit of movement to the drums. Okay, so next we will look at the shakers real quick. We're going to run through this as fast as we can. We've got 2 shaker loops. And they're being heavily automated to have different, like each note has a different volume. Right, and I don't have any swing on these, and I don't have any manual swing on these, and it's going to be because I have global swing, like the main swing, up at 40% on basically every single track that I make these days when I use FL Studio. Right, so, and then I changed the notes right here on the even numbered bars, or the even number beats, so beat 2, beat 4. Just add some nice movement, I think. With the rest of, and the processing on these, there's of course compression, nothing crazy. There is a low cut, and that is all. And then they're being side chained. Kickstart's nice and tight preset at 50% on the mix. Okay. And with the rest of the hats, next thing we'll look at are the bongos. These are really simple. Let's see. These are really simple samples from Cyclopedia 1, which is a sample pack from SoundsFat. I will try to remember to put a link to it in the description. And then there's a second. We've got a second pattern of bongos playing here with even more samples, and it's meant to give it some movement. So those guys are being sent to a channel where there is a transient processor on them, right? Just making them hit super hard. I lowered the release a tiny bit. I raised the drive a reasonable amount, like almost 10%, and I raised the attack like to 130. So 130 a cluck is what I mean. With the hats. So that's kind of what we're working with there. And if we solo the claps, which we're going to look at next, we've got 3 clap samples. This one is also from Cyclopedia 1. Also Cyclopedia 1. Also Cyclopedia 1. So we've got three Cyclopedia 1 samples kind of playing together here. I, of course, shifted them forward a little bit so it sounds a little bit more natural. They are being compressed. Now I raised the release on this one. And I raised the attack a little bit. I may have raised it such a small amount that it may have been inaudible compared to what I started out with, but that doesn't matter. I do it for me and not for you guys. There's a low cut on the claps because there was a ton of rumble that we don't need coming through. There's a tiny boost in the highs, the treble, and otherwise I'm not really doing anything crazy with it. There's reverb. I used Art's acoustic reverb when I'm using FL Studio. It's just a really fast reverb, and the wet signal is really low. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the sampled, well, that's all sampled. We're going to move on to the loops and stuff. Just a couple of really simple loops. Okay. All together. Now these are some soft percussion loops, honestly. They're very soft, so in the future, I'll probably want to make sure to do a tutorial on my other drum style, which shows how to make really snappy loops. Some light compression, heavy ratio, but low threshold. Very fast attack and release on these loops. A low cut, because I knew that loops almost always have rumble in them. And that's, and oftentimes, if a loop does not have rumble in it, FL Studio will find a way to make rumble for you. So, there's that. Realistically speaking, you guys, I should do this here, and then I should probably have another one down here, but I'm not, so whatever. We've got some saturation here. Band 1 is everything that's below 150 hertz. It's completely turned off. We boosted the mids on the percussion quite a bit. And what saturation does is that it distorts your sound a little bit, but you kind of look for a gritty, like, white noise sound when I unmute this, or when I mute it, it's gonna sound like this. Pay attention to when this turns green whenever I turn it on, and you will hear some more high-end frequencies, especially on good headphones. That make these drums sound nicer. Especially the claps. They're just much more present with the saturation. And then I use a little bit of fast distortion from FL Studio, because I don't know why I did this. It just sounds good. Without it, with. I've done this in several tracks now, and it often sounds pretty good. However, I think for this one, I would rather use one or the other, but not both, if that makes any sense for you guys. So that's what we'll do here. There's a transient processor at 2 o'clock. The drive is at about 9 o'clock. The release has been lowered to 10, to late 10, almost 11 o'clock, right? There's some light reverb on the entire thing, and it is quiet. And it is fast reverb too. We're not spending too much time here on it. And then there's some more stereo separation at the very end of it. And then there is some side chaining using the Nice and Tight preset, and it's fairly simple, or fairly subtle. It's just there to make the stuff sound like it's got more movement to it. The next thing that we have are these little bongo samples, which play here, and these are going to this channel. And it's just a modest amount. There's a low cut, because of course there's a low cut. There's Fruity Fast Distortion, because it sounded freaking amazing. And then Arts Acoustic Reverb. By the way, the bongos earlier just had a transient processor on. Oh, I've already looked at them. Never mind, I've already. Okay, oops. So we've looked at everything now other than the percussion bus mixer channel. I want to play this stuff all in the background while we are looking at that. And the crashes are technically part of the drums, but I don't process them with the drums, so we're not going to be looking at them in this video. I did bust out FabFilter Pro C for this one. I raised the ratio a little bit. The threshold I actually left at the default. Attack is extremely low. Release is at about 72 milliseconds. And the relevancy of me telling you guys the attack and the release is not for you guys to copy and paste it. Because if you guys copy and paste these settings for a compressor, it's going to sound bad every time. You'll need to go and learn how to compress stuff. But I am showing you how I am compressing it, so that once you understand what you're doing, you will see exactly what I am doing. I just don't have an hour to 2 hours to explain, compression right now. There is a few boosts, including right around where this bongo is sitting. There's a boost right around where the clap is and the high mids. And there's a boost in the highs. And then there's FabFilter Saturn. Everything below 150 is turned off, of course. And I just messed with the mid, the treble, and the presence, and the feedback amount. I just mess around with everything when I'm doing saturation, guys. It doesn't have to be a science or anything. Okay, so let's look at these two drum rolls, these two snare rolls. So we've got there's that one, and then there's a one that takes twice as long. Right, and I just ramped it up using the velocities, which is real easy. The snare roll is compressed. There's fast distortion on. Just more presence, basically. There's a low cut because this preset this sample has so much low end, and there's a little bit of reverb. So I'm generally kind of aiming for organic house type vibes with this with this style of percussion. I'm looking to adapt basically organic house percussion into stuff that will work with prog house, and that has led me to creating a few things that sound like this. So, all right. I will catch y'all later. If you want to see a full track breakdown, it might come someday. Who knows? I have this project file and it works, so I'm not writing off the possibility that you guys will get a track breakdown someday. But for now, I'm breaking down the individual elements as opposed to the actual entire arrangement. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.